So the Washington Commanders have a first-round pick on their roster that they are not using. In fact, they made him a healthy scratch last game. Let's talk about it.
The way that we live is not for everybody. We're going to run and put our bodies on people in a violent manner.
I love the way she move it, shake it all day. When she cry for him, and shawty is the winner. You can tell that shawty long.
You know what time it is. It's time to come out.
I love the way she move it, shake it all day.
YouTube, what's going on? It's Juan Gotti here. We enter the Washington Commanders video, and in today's video, I'm coming on here with the video where we're going to be talking about the Washington Commanders placing a former first-round pick on a healthy scratch list and them bringing in a new edge rusher on the practice squad. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. But before we do, make sure you guys go down below, leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, turn on post notifications so you get notified when I upload new videos like this to the channel. We're on the road to 8,000 subscribers, so it'd be greatly appreciated if you haven't reached that goal as soon as possible. Thank you so much. Let's get straight into it. So last game on Sunday, the Washington Commanders inactive list was a little bit surprising to me, as a guy by the name of Jamin Davis was on that list. Now, Jamin Davis is a guy that didn't pan out. Let's be real. He was a guy that we drafted when we desperately needed help at the linebacker position with the 19th overall pick. Ron Rivera drafted him out of Kentucky because of his athleticism and him killing his pro day and him having the military background. But as we quickly found out, Jamin Davis was not a first-round pick. He was supposed to be a guy that was in the 3rd, 4th, maybe even 5th round. He wasn't someone that you selected with the 19th overall pick. And although part of the reason why he hasn't been successful hasn't just been solely on him, it's been the way he's been used, he hasn't really done much for the Washington Commanders. That's why I was super excited for the position change that he had this season, because I felt watching him in the past that he does his best work when he's chasing after the quarterback, he's rushing the passer, and he's been an enforcer in the run game. So when Dan Quinn came over here and he finally decided to change him to full-time defensive end, I was like, okay, this may be the start of something special for Jamin Davis. However, last Sunday, we made him a healthy scratch. The reason why I was so surprised by the move is because edge rusher isn't a position where we're stacked, where we're loaded. We're not a team that needs to cut numbers. Now, I know we probably made him a healthy scratch to make room for someone else and at another position, but he's a guy that is a former first-round pick, and them making him a healthy scratch speaks volumes of how they view him, because you're not just going to make any first-round pick a healthy scratch if you don't plan on using them. Unless you don't plan on using them. So for me, it was just a big shocker, because I do think we need help at the defensive end position. Don't get me wrong. A guy like Cleveland Furrow has been really, really good, but we're not at a time where we have all these good edge rushers and we need to cut numbers and Jamin Davis can be a healthy scratch and we're good. No, we could use Jamin Davis. I'm telling you we could. So I don't know if this was just a 1-week thing, or if this is just going to be something that they do throughout the year for Jamin Davis, to where they just don't feel like he can contribute to this team. Similar to a guy like Derek Forrest. A lot of people talking about Jeremy Chin and how he's been poor at safety, and they feel like a guy like Jeremy Chin or Tyler Owens, Derek Forrest or Tyler Owens could get a better opportunity and at least deserves a look. So that's how I kind of carry it about the edge rusher position. We don't have that many guys that are just star-studded guys that can cause a guy like Jamin Davis to miss, or we could be fine without him. Now, granted, we didn't necessarily need Jamin Davis, but I would like to see him out there to see what he can do. Give him the opportunity, so that way if we do, when we do release him to free agency, because I do not see this regime bringing him back. They're making him a healthy scratch in the regular season. They did not pick up his 5th-year option in the offseason. They're clearly ready to move on from Jamin Davis. So my thing, though, is at least use him while you have him. That way, 2 things could happen. If you use him enough and you still don't want to be satisfied with him, you could potentially trade him at the deadline. Or if you use him up for this season and then let him walk in free agency, you can at least know, all right, we gave it our all. He was a linebacker, we moved him to defensive end, and we still weren't satisfied with his play. But you kind of cutting him off and not letting him play all the games, you don't know what you really have. You know what I'm saying? Because then let's say he goes to free agency next year, and then he goes to the new team, and then he turns up as a defensive end. If we would have played him here while the season was going on, we would have known, okay, maybe he had defensive end is where he belongs. So I don't know. I'm not necessarily mad at the move that, making him a healthy scratch on Sunday. It was just very interesting to me because, again, you make a first round pick, a guy that we drafted at 19, a healthy scratch. That just shows you that they don't believe in him for real, in my opinion. 'Cause you're not going to I don't care who you're trying to make room for, who you want to bring up, elevate to the roster on game day. You're not going to just healthy scratch a first round pick. Now, it's a difference to healthy scratch, a Derek Forrest or a Jeremy Reeves or somebody that's on a late round pick, or somebody like Chris Paul. You can do that with those guys, but a first round pick, a guy that you expected to be contributing to your defense, making him a healthy scratch, that's just very, very surprising to me. Now, I will say the Washington Commanders did bring up a new guy, Justin Hollins, defensive end, to the practice squad. And I don't know if we plan on activating them. I don't know if this is because we have a couple guys dealing with injury. I don't know what's the reason for bringing in Justin Holland. But the Washington Commanders brought him in. He's 28. He was selected with the number 156 overall pick in the 5th round by the Broncos back in 2018. He signed a 4-year, $2 million rookie contract that included $305,000 signing bonus. The Broncos waived Hollins in 2020, and he was later claimed by the Los Angeles Rams. Then he was cut, and then he was re-signed with the Green Bay Packers for the 2023 season, but eventually got let go and had a brief stint with the Giants before being signed off the practice squad by the Chargers, and he signed with the Washington Commanders in August 2024. But among final roster cuts coming out of training camp, he was cut. So, okay, that's interesting. He was a guy that we had during the summertime, but he didn't make the roster or make final cuts. So now he's been sitting out there, and he's coming back to potentially contribute if he is called up on game days, or maybe he's just a guy that's going to be on a practice squad in the case of an injury. So it's interesting that we have a little bit of familiarity with him. So that makes sense why we did sign him. It's not like a guy that we did not know of, right? It says in 2023, Hollins appeared in 12 total games for the Packers and Giants and Chargers. He recorded 17 total tackles as well as 1 sack. So he's a guy that, again, in my honest opinion, I don't expect him to come in here and make a crazy impact. But considering the fact that we don't have a bona fide stud at edge rusher, like we don't have a potential Montez Sweat or potential of Chase Young on this roster anymore. We have just a bunch of Jags, just a bunch of guys from Dexter Fowler to Cleveland Ferrell, and a bunch of other just guys out there. We can see, I guess, what Justin Hollins had. I don't know what he in fact has, but we could potentially see him because we're that desperate at edge rushers. A lot of people were, getting on Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen's case about not contributing, which I understand. You want to see more out of those guys, but they were heavily double teamed. I thought people were overly dramatic, being overly dramatic with how they were double teamed, but they were double teamed a lot. So where you really should be frustrated at is the edge rushers that aren't getting home that much besides Cleveland Ferrell. But again, considering the fact that we know that this edge rushing room isn't the best, how could you really be upset? So again, maybe Justin Hollins can come in here and can contribute, but I just don't really see him being much of nothing. I would rather go with Jamin Davis. F.A. Obata's still out, so we don't really have much on him. Dorrance Armstrong, haven't really seen much out of him. He's questionable, and so is Cleveland Ferrell, is also questionable too. So that is probably why we brought in a guy like Justin Hollins, because both of our edge rushers are kind of banged up. Not to say that they aren't going to play, but they are banged up. And when you bring in a guy early in this week, you want to get him familiar with his possibility of potentially having to play. Last thing I will say on this is that Jamin Davis, or not Jamin Davis, but Benjamin St. Juste was on the injury list today. With a groin, he was limited, so hopefully it's nothing major with BSJ. He's been playing really good the first 2 weeks, so hopefully he can go on Monday, because we're going to need him right? We're playing T. Higgins, we're playing Jamar Chase. We're going to need him. So let me know what you guys think about this video in the comment section down below. Justin Hollins was signed to the practice squad today. Do you think he's going to be much of anything? Do you think he gets called up? Jamin Davis also was a healthy scratch on Sunday. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think that was just a 1 week thing, or do you feel like that's something that's going to spiral the whole year of him being pulled in and out of the lineup? To me, it's very weird because he's a first round pick and you don't really want your first round pick being a healthy scratch, but it also shows how they believe in him, which they don't. And I also want to say, not to say Jamin Davis is just this stud of a guy and player, but I don't think we're good enough at edge rushers to just be healthy scratching guys. We got to let them play. But let me know what you guys about this video in the comment section down below. As always, it's me, your boy Juan Gotti. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Want to roll to 8,000 subscribers, so we greatly appreciate it if you haven't reached that goal as soon as possible. Thank you so much. You have a blessed one. Stay safe. Be easy. Peace.